The sky above the border world was red and heavy, filled with dust and distant lightning flashes. Scorched plains stretched endlessly, cracked under the weight of a dying sun. Princess Nara rode at the front of her battle group, her armor gleaming in sharp lines that reflected the harsh light. Her troops moved with precision, their weapons humming quietly as they scanned the horizon. Every step was meant to show power, dominance, and fear. At the edge of a ruined transmitter, a lone figure stood. He did not run, nor did he crouch. His posture was relaxed, almost casual, with arms at his sides. His name was Aaron, a human scout sent to observe, not to fight. Yet there was no fear in his eyes. Instead, he smiled. A small, simple smile, but enough to make Nara pause in surprise. "Human," she roared, her voice amplified by the battle horn on her armor. "Kneel or I will kill you!" Aaron did not move. He tilted his head as if considering her words, and his lips curved into the same calm smile. The tension in the air thickened. Nara's troops shifted uneasily behind her. They had faced humans before, but never one who looked at death without flinching, never one who smiled at the edge of a blade. "You heard me," Nara barked. "Kneel." Aaron's smile remained. "I do not kneel," he said, his voice steady but quiet, carrying over the wind in the plains. "But I do not fight unless I must." Nara's hand tightened on her weapon. It was a long energy lance, sleek and deadly. She could strike and end him in seconds. Yet she hesitated. The human's calm anger, his simple confidence, was unlike anything she had ever faced. "Fire a warning shot," she ordered her troops. A beam of bright energy streaked toward Aaron. The ground shook as it hit near him, sending up a cloud of dust. Still, he did not move. Dust coated his jacket, but he remained standing, smiling. Nara felt a strange mix of frustration and curiosity. "Who are you, human? Why do you stand so boldly?" "I am called Aaron," he said. "I stand because running is not my way." The words were simple, but they carried weight. Nara had never understood humans completely. They were smaller, weaker, and their technology was primitive compared to her fleet. Yet they had survived countless battles across countless worlds. Their courage was unpredictable, dangerous. She stepped closer, lance raised. "One more word, human, and you will die." Aaron did not flinch. "Then I will die standing," Nara's troop murmured in confusion. No human had ever dared speak like this. Some alien warriors shifted nervously. Confidence like that could unbalance even the strongest of soldiers. A small, sharp noise cut through the wind. Aaron bent slightly and grabbed a piece of fallen metal. With a quick motion, he jammed it into a damaged sensor of the ruined transmitter. Sparks flew, lights blinked on, and suddenly the ground sensor grid came back online. Nara stopped. She had not expected that. This human, standing alone and unarmed by their standards, had repaired alien technology faster than her engineers could. His smile widened. "Sometimes standing still is better than running," he said. Nara's eyes narrowed. Anger rose, but so did curiosity. Humans were clever in ways she had never studied. Her pride told her to kill him immediately. Her mind whispered that there was more to learn. "Take him," she ordered finally, but her voice was softer. "Bring him to the ship alive." The troops hesitated. To obey meant capturing a human alive, not destroying him as they normally would. Nara's authority forced them forward, but the unease was clear. Aaron allowed himself to be led. His smile never faltered. As they walked toward her ship, he looked around the burnt plains. He saw not just danger, but patterns, weak points, places to hide and places to strike if needed. His mind raced quietly, planning, thinking, and yet calm. Princess Nara watched him. Something in the way he moved, in the way he stood even when surrounded, made her wonder, could a single human truly hold such courage? Could this one smile be more dangerous than a fleet of alien warriors? For the first time, Nara felt a spark of respect. It was tiny, barely noticeable, but it was there. A human alone standing in the heart of her territory had not bowed. He had not fled. He had simply smiled and survived. The wind carried the sound of distant storms echoing like drums across the plains. Nara turned to her troops. "Prepare the ship," she said, "and watch him carefully. This human is not like the others. Learn from him if you can." Aaron walked beside the alien princess, his simple smile intact. Around them, the plains seemed even wider, emptier, and yet filled with possibility. A war of strength was coming, but for the first time, the question was not just who would win. The question was how humanity could stand among the stars, and make even the proudest alien warriors pause. The alien ship rose from the scorched plains like a silver predator. Its engines glowed with a pale blue light, cutting through the dusty sky. Inside, the halls were cold and polished, with walls that hummed with energy. Princess Nara walked beside Aaron as he was escorted through the corridors. He remained calm, hands behind his back, smiling slightly. His calmness made her officers uneasy. "Take him to the holding chamber," Nara ordered. Her voice was sharp, but inside she felt an unfamiliar tug of curiosity. How could a single human inspire such calm in the middle of enemy territory? The chamber was small, square, and reinforced. Energy fields surrounded the walls, ready to hold even the strongest prisoner. Nara motioned for Aaron to step inside. He did not resist. He walked carefully, studying every panel and monitor. "Your technology is impressive," he said quietly, as if complimenting her. "I have seen many ships, but none like this." Nara froze for a moment. The human spoke without fear. Even when surrounded, he noticed the details, the patterns. That smile never left his face. It was small but confident, and it made her wonder how such a tiny creature could remain so unafraid. One of Nara's officers stepped forward. "Princess, should we restrain him?" Nara shook her head. "Not yet. I want to see what he does next." Aaron tilted his head, studying the panels. "Some of these systems are damaged," he said. "I could help repair them if you wish." The officer frowned. "Do not trust him. He is a prisoner." "Sometimes a prisoner can be useful," Nara replied. Her gaze remained fixed on Aaron. She had no idea why, but she felt drawn to his confidence. With a careful hand, Aaron moved toward a small control panel. He adjusted a few circuits with a simple tool he carried. Sparks flew briefly, and then a screen lit up, showing the ship's energy flow returning to normal. The officers gasped. Nara did not move, but inside she felt a mixture of anger and admiration. The human had repaired alien technology faster than her engineers could. His calm and competence challenged everything she believed about humans. "You're clever," Nara said, stepping closer. Her voice was softer now. "Most humans run, hide, or beg. You do neither," Aaron smiled. "I learned early not to rely on fear or begging. It does not help in difficult situations." She studied him. Every word, every gesture showed discipline, intelligence, and bravery. "Why do you not fight?" she asked. "You are unarmed, alone, and surrounded. Most humans would attack or flee." "I do not fight unless I must," he replied simply. "Fighting for no reason only wastes strength." The simplicity of his words confused Nara. She had spent her life training for combat and conquest. Humans were supposed to be weak, disorganized, and fearful. Yet here was one standing alone, unarmed, smiling, and teaching her a lesson in patience and thought. "Do you fear death?" Nara asked, her voice quieter than before. Aaron shrugged lightly. "Of course I do. But fear does not control me. I stand because I must. I survive because I think." Her officers exchanged uneasy glances. No human had ever spoken like this. Some looked away, afraid of the human's calm power. Nara nodded slowly. "You are unlike any human I have known," she said. "I will study you. Perhaps there is more to your species than I realized." Aaron's smile widened, not in arrogance but in quiet acknowledgement. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I am just one human, doing what one human can." Hours passed as Nara's scientists examined the repaired systems. Aaron answered their questions politely and intelligently. He did not boast, yet he offered insight into technology that even the aliens found useful. He demonstrated small tricks like rerouting power or adjusting sensors that saved time and energy. Throughout the day, Nara watched him closely. His courage, calm, and skill made her question everything she had been taught about humans. They were supposed to be weak, simple creatures, yet here was one proving otherwise. At night, the ship's engines hummed softly as it drifted above the planet. Aaron sat quietly on the floor of the holding chamber, looking at the stars through a viewport. Nara stood outside the chamber, watching him silently. "You are brave," she said finally, breaking the quiet. Aaron looked up. "Bravery is not about weapons or numbers. It is about standing when it is easier to fall." Nara felt a small shift inside her. Respect, curiosity, and perhaps a hint of admiration. She had conquered many worlds, defeated many enemies, and faced countless humans. Yet none had ever looked at her, unafraid, and made her question her beliefs. She turned and left the chamber, her mind alive with thoughts. The human's calm smile haunted her. He was simple yet complex. Weak yet strong. Ordinary yet extraordinary. In the silence of the ship, Aaron looked out at the endless stars. He did not know what the alien princess thought, but he knew one thing. Standing, even in the face of impossible odds, was sometimes the most powerful action of all. And so the stage was set. A human and an alien princess, two very different beings, now bound by circumstance. The galaxy was vast, but in that small ship above a scarred world, something new was beginning. Something dangerous, something human. The next morning, the ship moved quietly above the red plains. Princess Nara stood on the observation deck, watching the horizon. Dust storms twisted across the surface below, but her mind was elsewhere. Her thoughts were on Aaron, the human who had refused to kneel, repaired alien technology, and smiled through every danger. Inside the holding chamber, Aaron sat cross-legged, quietly examining a small device the scientists had left behind. It was simple, but a few circuits were burned. With careful hands, he adjusted the connections, tested the device, and made it work perfectly. He handed it back to the alien technician without a word, smiling politely. The technician stared, unsure how to feel. Nara entered the chamber. "You are clever beyond what I expected," she said. "Your species is unpredictable. You adapt in ways I cannot teach my warriors." Aaron looked up. "I learned from necessity," he said. "On my homeworld, survival is not about strength alone. It is about thinking, acting, and sometimes standing when others fall." Nara studied him. There was a quiet intensity in his eyes, a depth she could not read fully. Most enemies she faced were straightforward. Humans were not. This one carried experience and patience in every movement. "You are calm in danger," she said. "You repair, think, and stand. Most humans panic or fight blindly." Aaron shrugged. "Fear is natural. Controlling it is the choice." A sudden alarm sounded. A section of the ship had suffered a minor malfunction, and the systems were beginning to fail. Without hesitation, Aaron stood and moved to the control panels. With hands that were quick and precise, he rerouted power, adjusted the energy flow, and prevented a serious failure. The officers watching gasped. Nara nodded slowly. "Your value grows," she said. "But do not mistake me for trust. You are still my prisoner." Aaron's smile did not fade. "I do not expect trust," he said. "I only expect opportunity to do what I can." Later, in the ship's cafeteria, Nara sat quietly, watching him eat. He was not boastful. He did not claim victories. Yet every action carried thought and efficiency. She could see it in the way he moved, the way he handled small tasks. "Tell me about yourself," she said finally. Aaron looked up, surprised. "Why?" "Because curiosity is stronger than pride," Nara replied. "And you have made me curious." He nodded slowly. "I grew up on a small colony world. We had few resources. We scavenged, fixed, and adapted to survive. Life taught me to stay calm, to observe, and to act when necessary." Nara listened carefully. His story was simple, but every word carried meaning. Survival in a harsh world had taught him patience, ingenuity, and courage. She could see now why he had smiled when faced with her lance. Fear alone could not define him. A sudden commotion drew their attention. One of Nara's officers had triggered a system error while attempting to replicate Aaron's repairs. The energy levels in the ship began to fluctuate dangerously. "Go," Nara ordered. "Stop it." Aaron moved quickly. He analyzed the panels, saw the weak points, and acted. Within moments, the system stabilized. The officers stared in amazement. "You saved the ship," Nara said, her voice low. "Most humans could not have done that." "I only do what I can," Aaron said. "No more, no less." The day passed, and Nara found herself thinking about him constantly. His calmness, his smile, his patience and skill challenged everything she believed about humans. Could one being so small and seemingly fragile truly carry such strength? She realized that strength was more than muscle or weapons. It was courage, intellect, and the will to act. As night fell, Nara summoned him to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, twinkling like distant fires. "You have changed something inside me," she said. "I was taught to see humans as weak, but you are different." Aaron looked out at the stars, then back at her. "I am only one human," he said. "Many are like me and many are not. But if one can stand, perhaps many can. That is the hope of my people." Nara remained silent, watching him. Respect was growing where fear had once been. She felt a strange sense of unease and admiration. He was her prisoner, yet he had already begun to teach her lessons about courage, calm, and the power of thought. Tomorrow, she said, we will test you further. You will face challenges designed for warriors, not humans. We will see if your calm holds when danger is real and unavoidable. Aaron smiled faintly. I will do my best, Nara nodded. She left the observation deck, her mind racing. One human had already changed the way she thought about her enemies, her tactics, and even her own pride. A storm was coming, she realized, not just in the galaxy, but within herself. And for Aaron, standing on the deck, the stars above were not just distant lights. They were possibilities. He had survived harsh worlds before, but this world, this alien princess, and this test of skill and courage would push him further than he had ever been. Yet he remained calm. He smiled. He would stand, and in standing, he would survive. The sun rose slowly over the red plains, casting long shadows across the alien ship. Inside, Princess Nara walked the corridors with purpose. She had watched Aaron closely for days, and his calm skill had begun to change her thinking. He was still a prisoner, yet his presence had become valuable, even necessary. A sudden alarm cut through the ship. Red lights flashed, and a loud voice called orders over the intercom. Nara's cousin, Talon, had led a group of soldiers in a mutiny, attempting to seize control while she remained distracted by the human prisoner. Nara's heart pounded, but she did not panic. Her mind turned immediately to strategy. Aaron, she said sharply, we are under attack. I need your help, he nodded calmly. Tell me what you want me to do. Nara's officers stared in shock. They had expected the human to panic or freeze. Instead, he was already thinking, already prepared to act. The mutineers are trying to take control of the ship, she explained. They are many, trained, and they know our layout. I need a plan to stop them. Aaron smiled faintly. Then let us use what they do not expect. Humans are small, unpredictable, and hard to read. We can use that to our advantage. Nara raised an eyebrow. Explain. He walked quickly through the corridors, pointing out weak spots and suggesting diversions. He had no weapons of his own, yet he moved like a strategist, predicting the enemy's steps. They will try the main control room first, he said. But they will leave some corridors less guarded. We can use those to flank them and regain control. The officers whispered nervously, but Nara nodded. Very well. We follow your plan. The battle began quietly but intensely. Aaron led small teams of soldiers through hidden passages, avoiding direct confrontation. When they met mutineers, they struck precisely, cutting off their advance and reclaiming control points one by one. Nara watched from the command center as the humans' plan unfolded. Every move was measured, every risk calculated. The mutineers had expected her to act alone, relying on brute force. Instead, they faced clever strategy, quick thinking, and unexpected cooperation between human and alien. At one point, Talon himself appeared in the control room, brandishing a heavy energy blade. Nara prepared to strike, but Aaron stepped forward, holding a small device he had modified earlier. He aimed it at the floor, sending a pulse that short-circuited nearby panels. Talon stumbled, confused by the sudden malfunction. Nara struck quickly, disarming him without lethal force. The remaining mutineers surrendered. Some fled into other sections of the ship, but Aaron had already predicted their moves. Using sensors and shortcuts, he guided Nara's soldiers to intercept them. Within hours, the ship was secure. Nara turned to Aaron, her expression unreadable. You risked yourself to save us, she said. I risked nothing, he replied calmly. I only acted with thought. Sometimes the smallest advantage makes the biggest difference. Her officers looked at him in awe. One whispered, he is not just clever. He is dangerous in ways we cannot understand. Nara's mind was alive with new understanding. Humans were smaller, weaker in appearance, yet they could outthink and outmaneuver even the most trained alien soldiers. This human, standing alone, smiling calmly, had changed the outcome of a mutiny. You have earned a measure of trust, Nara said slowly. But remember, you are still my prisoner. Aaron smiled faintly. I do not forget. I only act as needed. Later, Nara walked alone to the observation deck. The stars glimmered silently above, vast and distant. She thought of Aaron, the human who had stood unafraid, repaired technology, and outmaneuvered her own troops. He was small, yet his mind was a weapon as sharp as any blade. For the first time, she considered that humans might not be conquered by force alone. Perhaps their strength lay elsewhere, in thought, courage, and unity. Perhaps she had underestimated the value of a single human in the galaxy. Aaron appeared behind her quietly. The ship is secure, he said. For now. There may be others who try to challenge you. Nara nodded. Yes, and if they come, I hope to have your mind at my side again. I will act as I must, Aaron replied. Not for you, not for them, but because it is right. They stood together, human and alien, two very different beings bound by circumstance and necessity. Neither fully trusted the other, yet they had formed an alliance that could not be ignored. As the night stretched on, Nara realized that she had learned more from this one human than from years of conquest. His calm, courage, and intelligence had shown her that strength was not only in weapons or armies. It could be quiet, clever, and persistent, and Aaron, watching the stars with her, understood that even a human could shape events beyond expectation. He had faced the mutiny without fear, using only thought and timing. He had survived. He had won respect. The galaxy was large, filled with dangers and full of unknowns. But on this ship above the red plains of a harsh world, a human and an alien princess had proven that courage, intelligence, and collaboration could overcome even the greatest odds. For the first time, Nara did not feel alone in command. She had a partner of a strange sort, a human, a being smaller in size but not in heart, mind, or impact. And for Aaron, standing beside the alien princess, the galaxy seemed slightly less impossible. He had survived impossible odds before, but this test of trust, courage, and skill had shown him something new. He could stand, and he could be seen as more than a lone human. He could be a force, and so, in the quiet after the mutiny, both human and alien prepared for what would come next, knowing that the universe was wide, dangerous, and full of surprises, but that together, even in small ways, they could make a difference. Days passed quietly after the mutiny. The ship moved steadily above the red plains, its engines humming softly. Princess Nara walked the corridors often, watching Aaron as he repaired minor systems and assisted the engineers. Every action, every movement was calm, precise, and confident. It reminded her again that strength came in many forms. One morning, Aaron was working near the observation deck when he noticed a panel glowing faintly. It showed readings from a distant neutral moon. Curious, he adjusted the sensors and discovered an anomaly. The moon had an ancient weapon buried beneath its surface. Its energy signature was strong and dangerous. Nara arrived, alerted by his signal. She studied the readings carefully. That weapon is dangerous, she said. It could destroy entire colonies if activated, Aaron nodded. I have seen weapons like this before. They do not belong to any one species. They are tools of destruction. They must not fall into the wrong hands. Nara frowned. Her mind raced. This weapon could give her the power to dominate her rivals, to claim control over many systems. Yet she felt unease. The human beside her, calm and serious, made her question what she had been taught about power. You want to destroy it? She asked. I want it secured, Aaron said, and if possible, neutralized. Weapons like this are not meant for one species to wield. They bring death, not strength. Nara considered his words. Her court would see her as weak if she did not claim the weapon. Her pride told her to seize it. Yet her instincts, sharpened by observing Aaron, whispered caution. Show me what you suggest, she said finally. Aaron mapped the terrain on the moon using the ship's sensors. He explained how the weapon was buried beneath several kilometers of rock, surrounded by traps designed to kill anyone who approached. Brute force will fail, he said. We must be precise, cautious, and clever. There is no room for error. Nara studied him closely. His calmness, even when speaking of death and danger, reminded her of why she had spared him during the mutiny. Humans were unpredictable, but they could be wise beyond their size. I will follow your plan, she said. We will go together, Aaron nodded. Then we prepare. The journey to the neutral moon was tense. Sensors detected nothing unusual at first, but as they neared the surface, hidden defenses began to activate. Turrets, energy barriers, and automated sentries sprang to life. Careful, Aaron warned. The weapon's defenses are still active. One wrong move could trigger destruction. Nara followed his lead. She watched how he moved, how he predicted traps and adjusted his path. His calm focus guided them past dangers that could have killed many alien warriors. When they reached the core chamber of the weapon, the size and complexity were overwhelming. A massive control interface glowed with energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. Nara felt the temptation to claim it, to bend the galaxy to her will. Aaron stepped forward, touching the controls carefully. He worked quickly, rerouting energy flows and disarming dangerous systems. It is not easy, he said. But it can be neutralized. Nara watched, fascinated and cautious. Her instincts had always told her to conquer first and think later. Aaron's method was different. Every move was calculated, precise, and respectful of life. Hours passed as they worked. Finally, the weapon's energy died down, the core silent. Nara felt a mixture of relief and confusion. She had expected triumph, but instead she felt understanding. Power was not only in taking, it was in choosing restraint. "You did this," she said quietly. "You saved countless lives not by strength, but by thought." Aaron smiled faintly. "Sometimes the hardest choice is to not use power when you have it. That is true strength." Nara felt a shift within herself. She had learned to trust her instincts, her warriors, and now this human. He had shown her that courage and intelligence could outweigh brute force and that mercy could be stronger than domination. "Return to the ship," she said finally. "We will report the weapon neutralized. The galaxy will not know of its existence, and we will keep it from those who would misuse it." As they walked back, Nara glanced at him. "You have changed my understanding of humans," she said. "I hope," Aaron replied calmly, "that one human can remind others that life is more important than power." The stars above shone brightly as they left the moon behind. For Nara, the lesson was clear. Leadership was more than conquest, and strength was not always visible. And for Aaron, standing beside the alien princess, the galaxy seemed a little more hopeful. One choice, one calm action could protect countless lives and shift the course of events in ways no one expected. And so, a human and an alien princess continued their journey together, bound not by chains or orders but by understanding, respect, and the quiet knowledge that sometimes the smallest, calmest presence could make the greatest difference. The neutral moon faded behind them as the ship moved silently through space. Princess Nara stood on the observation deck staring at the distant stars. She thought about the weapon they had neutralized and about Aaron, the human who had guided her through its dangers. She knew that rivals across the galaxy would soon learn of the neutralized weapon, and some would attempt to claim it for themselves. "Princess," Aaron said quietly, approaching her, "we cannot stay passive. Others will come. We must act before they do." Nara nodded. "Yes, we must prepare. And we will go together. I trust your judgment." Aaron's calm smile returned. "Then we plan carefully. Force alone will not succeed. Strategy and observation are stronger than numbers." Sensors soon detected enemy fleets approaching. Rival commanders had learned about the ancient weapon and intended to seize it. Nara's fleet was smaller, but better trained. Aaron suggested using unconventional tactics to offset the numerical disadvantage. "They will expect direct combat," he said. "We will avoid it. Instead, we will use misdirection, traps, and timing. They underestimate us as many do with humans." Nara listened carefully. The plan was risky but precise. Her soldiers would follow Aaron's lead, blending alien honor with human cunning. It was an unusual alliance, but necessary. The battle began near the asteroid belt. Nara's ships hid among the rocks, while small drones acted as decoys. The enemy attacked the decoys first, thinking them the main fleet. Meanwhile, Nara and Aaron's teams moved quietly to flank the attackers. "Follow my lead," Aaron instructed. "Patience first. Strike only when the moment is right." The enemy fleet was powerful, but Aaron's timing and strategy created confusion. Ships collided, weapons misfired, and panic spread. Nara's warriors, trained in discipline and honor, adapted to the human-led strategy. They struck where the enemy least expected. In the midst of the battle, Nara confronted one of the enemy leaders who had boarded her flagship. The leader begged for mercy, claiming surrender. Nara's hand went to her weapon, ready to strike. Aaron stepped beside her quietly. "The choice is yours," he said. "But remember, restraint can change the course of events more than violence." She hesitated, seeing the fear and desperation in the enemy's eyes. For years she had believed power came from execution and domination. Now she saw another path. Slowly she lowered her weapon. The enemy leader was captured instead of killed. The shift in Nara's decision rippled through the battle. Her fleet fought with renewed focus, using strategy over brute force. The enemy, confused by the unexpected restraint and clever tactics, began to falter. Aaron moved among the ships, adjusting systems, advising pilots, and guiding small strike teams. His calm intelligence balanced Nara's command. Together, they turned what could have been a devastating battle into a controlled victory. After hours of tense combat, the enemy retreated. Nara's fleet held the field. She looked at Aaron, her respect for him deeper than ever. "You have changed the way I see strategy," she said. "And the way I see humans." Aaron smiled faintly. "I only act as I can. But when small actions are combined with thought and courage, they can shape the outcome of events." Later, in the quiet of the observation deck, Nara and Aaron stood together. The stars stretched endlessly, peaceful after the chaos. Nara realized that leadership was not only about strength or armies. It was about wisdom, timing, and knowing when to act and when to hold back. "You have taught me more than any battle lesson," she said softly. "Not through weapons, but through patience, intelligence, and courage." Aaron nodded. "And you have learned that strength is more than numbers. It is also in restraint and understanding." The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers, rival powers, and unpredictable events. But for Nara, one human had shown her that even the smallest presence, the calmest mind, could influence the course of empires. Together, human and alien princess had not only survived, they had reshaped the battlefield. They had proven that courage and intelligence, combined with honor and strategy, could overcome impossible odds. Nara looked at Aaron, her expression thoughtful. "The galaxy will continue to test us," she said. "But I am ready if you are by my side." Aaron's smile returned, calm and steady. "I will act as needed," he said. "Not for glory, not for fear, but because it is right." And so, under the quiet glow of distant stars, they prepared for the challenges ahead. Each had learned from the other. Nara understood the power of thought and restraint. Aaron understood that humans could change the galaxy not only through survival, but through courage and clever action. The next steps would be difficult, and rivals would come seeking the weapon. Yet together, they had proven that even a human and an alien princess, united by choice and respect, could face the universe and stand undefeated in spirit. The galaxy was quiet for a moment, but the tension remained. Princess Nara and Aaron had returned from the neutral moon with the ancient weapon neutralized. Across the stars, rival powers whispered and plotted, seeking control of anything they could claim. Yet now, the galaxy had proof. The weapon could not be wielded by a single ruler. Nara stood on the observation deck, looking at the two suns rising over the distant planets. Their light reflected off her armor and the ship's polished walls. She thought of the battles, the mutiny, the tests, and the choices she had made. Most of all, she thought of Aaron, the human who had changed her understanding of strength, courage, and leadership. Aaron approached quietly. "The galaxy will not forget," he said calmly. "Some will see our restraint as weakness. Others will see it as power. True strength," Nara replied, "is not in fear or destruction. It is in choice. And we have made the right one." Aaron nodded. He looked out at the stars, thinking of his people and the countless worlds where humans struggled to survive. He had faced death before, but this journey had shown him something new. Humans could stand among the stars, not only surviving but influencing events through courage, intelligence, and calm action. Across the fleet, Nara broadcasted the news. The ancient weapon was neutralized. Any who sought to claim it would fail. Rival commanders paused, realizing the galaxy's balance had shifted. Nara's decision to spare lives, combined with Aaron's guidance, had reshaped expectations. Conquest alone could not secure power. Strategy, thought, and restraint mattered more. In the ship's command center, Nara turned to Aaron. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have shown me a new way to lead. Humans are smaller and weaker in appearance, yet your courage and mind are unmatched in many ways." Aaron smiled faintly. "I only acted as needed. My people teach that survival is not about strength alone. It is about thinking, observing, and knowing when to act." Their eyes met. Respect flowed silently between them. One was a human, small by alien standards, yet mighty in thought and courage. The other was an alien princess, powerful in command, yet willing to learn and adapt. Together they had faced impossible odds and prevailed. In the days that followed, Nara's fleet returned to secure systems, rebuild alliances, and prevent any rival from exploiting the weapon. Her officers marveled at the human's calm decisions, his careful strategy, and his courage. They began to understand that strength was not only in armor, weapons, or numbers, but in thought, choice, and persistence. Aaron prepared to return to his people. He had been a prisoner once, but now he was an emissary, a representative of humanity's courage and ingenuity. The galaxy had seen a human act with intelligence and calm that rivaled even the most seasoned alien commanders. Nara walked beside him to the docking bay. "You could have been destroyed at any moment," she said. "Yet you stood, repaired, fought, and guided us. You have changed more than the outcome of battles. You have changed my view of humanity." Aaron nodded. "One human is small, but humans can shape the future if they act wisely. I hope that what we have done inspires more than fear or conquest." Nara studied him, feeling a rare mixture of pride, respect, and admiration. "Your species may be small, but your courage is vast. Remember that when you return home." The docking clamps released and the human vessel separated from Nara's ship. Aaron stood at the window, waving once before disappearing into the stars. He carried with him knowledge, respect, and a new reputation for humanity. Alone on her ship, Nara reflected on the journey. She had begun with the desire to dominate, to see humans kneel. Instead, she had discovered courage, intelligence, and a quiet strength she had never anticipated. Humans were not just prey. They were unpredictable, resilient, and capable of shaping events far beyond their size. As the two suns rose fully over the horizon, Nara made a silent promise. She would lead with intelligence, honor, and caution. She would respect allies and adversaries alike. And she would remember the human who had stood calmly, smiled, and taught her that strength could be quiet, patient, and clever. Meanwhile, Aaron's mind turned to the countless colonies he had left behind. Humanity had survived wars, disasters, and hardships, but now their place in the galaxy was stronger. One human, acting with courage, intelligence, and restraint, had reminded everyone that survival and influence were earned through thought and action. Not fear. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, rivals, and unknown dangers. Yet hope had been restored. Humans had proven themselves capable, not merely as survivors, but as participants in shaping the future of civilizations. Nara and Aaron had changed more than battles or weapons. They had changed understanding. They had shown that courage, intelligence, and restraint could triumph over fear, power, and arrogance. And as they each looked toward the rising suns, each smiled in their own way, one for a hard-won peace, the other for the promise of humanity's future. Together, they had proven that even the smallest, calmest presence could make the greatest difference. The galaxy had shifted. Humans were no longer only survivors. They were participants, influencers, and allies. And the story of a human who refused to kneel would be remembered wherever courage and wisdom were valued above power alone.